All right, Lucy, I want to talk about the paradox of abundance in this episode because I don't know if you ever noticed. I feel like the modern life keep telling you that you can be anything, and somehow it just makes you want to take a nap. I mean, speaking of nap, I want to take a nap right now.
Who doesn't?
And I feel like we got a lot more of everything life choices, more platform, more voices, identities, and more oatmeals than any species truly ever needs.
Yes, indeed. I feel every second I'm struggling about what to do because I literally have so many choices, all the YouTube videos, all the TikToks, right? And then I feel even more so on the weekend because I don't have to work. Then I'm facing more entertainment choices, like more decisions, more pressure, more paralysis. I feel like we're not liberated, we're just fried.
I was just literally yelling because I woke up and he has a movie playing and he's playing chess on his phone at the same time. Choose. Are you watching the movie? Are you playing chess? And I think this is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. They found that when we have too many options, I think we're actually less happy with whatever we pick because your brain doesn't choose it anymore. It mourns everything that you didn't choose.
Oh, totally. And then in this age of infinite scroll, it's not just about what you choose, it's about what you might have chosen if you'd scrolled one more time. It's like all the big choices, too, right? Was it my perfect partner, perfect house, perfect calling? Maybe it's just several swipes away. I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, no, serious fear of missing out all the time. And I used to think that it's psychological, but it may be even neurobiological. This crazy 2018 Columbia study, I think when people have too many options, your brain go, "Uh-oh, I screwed up." And that area of your brain literally light up when you're feeling like that, like a Christmas tree.
Ah, maybe that's why I feel horrible every time after like 3 hours just watching endless videos, or even sometimes though some videos are educational,
Yeah.
but I feel bad every time. And which means we're not just overwhelmed, we're wired to feel like we're failing even when we choose well. It just, we're not trained to be anxious about everything almost. Like regardless we're doing it or not doing it. And then it's a cognitive tax of living a culture of over option.
I know. I think what they call nowadays liquid modernity. I mean, basically, it means that everything just melted. Your jobs, identities, relationships. It's hard to hold, sacred shapes anymore. You can always rebrand your entirety. Sometimes you can do that before lunch. And it sounds empowering. But until you realize that there's no more solid ground left, just vibes, live seats all times, it's obviously hard to define your next steps, right?
Yeah, ChatGPT can tell me that. I was literally coding my identity not too long ago, right? Because ChatGPT needs to know me as me, so to respond like naturally, and that I don't have to worry about it. Like, and I ask it to add in my identity too. Like, how funny. And then I didn't grow up with the technology or a phone. And I used to have like those nice wandering moment. And I was literally thinking about nothing. But now we become chronic browsers, just on the phone constantly, like about jobs, partners, careers, even belief systems. It can change any moment. We're always reading something on the phone. And it's like reading a menu, but never place an order.
It's kind of crazy, and I think I have to resist so many times of looking up something on my phone. When I'm watching a movie, I'm listening to a training video or watching a tutorial and they saying some word or a story and I have to resist searching for it all the time while doing something else. It's like we're standing at the buffet of choices and your brain goes 100 directions at the time. And you say to yourself, I could do anything, I could be anything. And then you're standing at that buffet at the end of the hour feeling hungry. I think we just
That reminds me of one thing. Do you remember when we were little, we had to use dictionary to learn English words, right? And then the English teacher always like, hey, once you find a difficult word you never recognize, just look it up in dictionary. And then in the definition, you'll see more foreign words. So you just keep going. But I mean, at the time, usually I go like 5 words, maybe like even less, right? You stop because you couldn't take the load anymore. But right now, with the phone, like short phone videos, you get easily distracted, and then after half an hour, you're getting nowhere, and then you're just constantly trapped in new ideas.
I know. And I think, speaking of that nowhere, that abundance of choice, it gives us this mistaken understanding that possibility means achievements and milestone. And I think this is an interesting stat, not to say good or bad, but in the early or pre 2010, 3 out of 10 college students would change their majors by the end of it. But nowadays, after the late 2010s, 1 in 2 changed their major.
Oh wow, it still happens because my husband was just telling me that even at a PhD level, because he's now teaching DBA program, and now like 2 out of 5 they change. You think at PhD level they're quite determined, but
Yeah.
no. So that's how horrible it is, and that maybe that's what the adulthood is now. The devotion is a new frontier of freedom, and then we're losing it in a world where everything can change. The real revolution is choosing to stay still.
Yeah. And I think there's a stat, I think you like this, that I read recently from some psychology. And it's about the people who consider so many options before deciding. They report higher regrets. It's called the maximization's behavior. It's kind of funny, right? It's a lot more regrets, more late nights, more what ifs when you have more options.
I think it's actually more intuitive than it sounds if you apply that in the love life, right? If you keep thinking about someone, like asking about what ifs before you propose, that means you have doubts. Compare with you fall in love in the first sight, and then you know it's him or her. You just know it. But if you're asking a lot of questions, hey, you regret later.
Yeah, I think we become this sort of optimization junkie. More freedoms, more choice, more loneliness.
Maybe, but do you think it gets better with the AI? Because AI can help you make choices. Do
Yeah,
you
and
remember? Yeah.
it does help with, I think smaller things. What food brand should I get for my dog Rambo, maybe? It does help instead of me just looking through hundreds of brands on Amazon before deciding. Yeah, I think for smaller stuff, it does help.
Yeah, I guess the like terrifying thing is what we talked about last episode. It's like the more we use AI, because we want to be free, we want to be more productive, right? But then once that happens, we kind of like lose that commitment, and then we want to blame AI for the consequences because we don't want to take the responsibility anymore. And then like making commitment is actually where meaning at meaning making commitment is actually where meaning lives.
I think it brings me to this fun idea. Here's a hot take for you. And I think it's about restraint. And I think when we hear that word, it's just this negative connotations, right? And everyone thinks, it means discipline, rules, and all limitations. But maybe restraint isn't repressions. It's just prioritizations. It's editing out things that are noisy. and unimportant. And what left maybe is good stuff, the signal, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, wasn't there a famous story with Warren Buffett? Like someone went to him for advice, right? Investment advice, and then things he wanted to achieve. Then Mr. Warren there asked him for the list for the next year. What it was he going to do? And then the guy showed I think a list of 10 items, whatever. It's a huge number. And then he's like, no, like just leave it to 3, things like that, and keep cutting down the list. Because for him, he's continuously doing one thing, like every day for like many, many years. That's how he got successful. And then I think that's the same habit for a lot of success for people. It's not about like how talented they are. It's more about like the simple thing, but the persistence they do like day after day, year after year.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, I think that will make our guest today very wild. Christians, he ditched the pre-med, became a filmmaker, and then trained as a closed-door kung fu disciples. Then back to film. Basically, he's an overachiever version of our episode main character.
Wow, what a resume. Yeah, so I guess time for cards. Let's get a read on him before he joins.
All right.
You're too early.
All right. Let's read a card about Christian in front of Christians.
Oh boy.
Well, you're getting
Jen.
you're getting a preview of this time, Christian.
Oh, Jen, are we still doing 2 cards?
Sure. Let's do 2.
Let's actually do cards because I don't know what Christian's coming to the show for. So let's get 1 card for what does Christian look like in terms of energy level, whatever, and then second card more of why is he coming today for the show. So 2 cards.
Because I told him to.
All right, all right.
Okay. The first card for where Christian's at.
Wow, do you have the cards ready or should I go first?
Oh, I'm still pulling the second.
It's kind of interesting because I think I met Christian in the past, and that right now his status kind of shows he's a little bit anxious about something, maybe having nightmares lately, because it's a guy covering his face with hands, a little bit sad
Oh wow.
emotionally. So I think there might be some worry or, I don't know, lack of sleep right now, but stressful about something. Mental.
Should I comment or am I just listening?
Listening for now after
Okay.
Jen, because Jen has her card ready.
Okay, so Christians, I got I'll describe the card, but it's a person looking down, hard to say good or bad, but in a boat in the sea, which is I think there's a lot of emotions overwhelmed. I'll go for the second card, Lucy. So your interest on the questions that you may ask, I got round and round. So there's a lot of iterations of thoughts. And I think you're just uncertain about the choice or the repetitions of whatever that you're doing.
Yeah, I got slightly different card on the second one because I think on the first, we're kind of like more or less aligned about those kind of worrisome feelings, and then before the second, I feel you might have questions about your partnerships because I got 2 of cups, which is like 2 people holding cups and then kind of like cheering each other. So yeah, I think it's more on the partnerships.
All right. Welcome to the episode, Christian.
Hi there. Good to be back. In the incense and inference.
So, Christians, in the episode today, we speak a little bit about the modern society and the abundance of choice and the freedom or lack of that it may gives you.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Abundance of choice. I get it. Like going in the supermarket and having 300 different kinds of cereal, or
Yeah.
going to a bakery and being 10 chocolate chip cookies. Which one do you get? I know it's hard. This is something I face every day of my life.
Or 20
Brownie
different
or cookie,
or 20
almond
different
croissant or chocolate croissant. I'm paralyzed. I mean, do you eat them all?
Yes. The answer is yes. Yes.
I agree. I agree.
But it's got to be the right croissant, though. It's Christians.
Of course, of course.
So, what do you think? Do you think the modern society, all of this abundance, giving you more anxiety, or do you feel more freedom from it?
I think you asking me personally, or do I think that the abundance that we have in society creates anxiety in general in people?
That's too personal, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. I mean, when was the last time any of us rode an elevator in silence without checking our phone, or waited in line without pulling our phone out right away and scrolling through social media or reading the news? Or, I mean, you just have so much information at your fingertips now that nobody gets bored, lets their mind wander or turn inward anymore. You know, we're so automatically programmed to just start checking emails, checking text messages, looking at the news, and feeding our brain and our mind with such an abundance of information that how could you not feel somewhat anxious? Or, you know, how can anxiety not start creeping into your life when you never take a minute to take a breath? You know, I think just constantly bombarding yourself with a cacophony of noise and information, you know, creates such stress in the human mind. You know, I think we were designed to stop and smell the roses every once in a while, and you know, who does that anymore?
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that because I'm a super introvert. The reason I scroll on my phone in public is to avoid conversations. I think that's the different reason that you mentioned. But agreed, I feel like all the things are created so that we don't feel bored anymore. But for whatever reason, every time I like spend hours on my phone, I feel even more bored. And then that brings anxiety to
Mm.
some extent because I feel like did I just waste 3 hours like watching YouTube every day, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is like, you know, you're never going to be satisfied. And especially for people who like to accomplish things, like I think the three of us do, you know, we like to be doing things and like creating stuff. And when you realize that, you know, you've fallen into the black hole of YouTube or something, then, you know, yeah, that's a whole other form of anxiety. And then there's the anxiety of missing out. You know what I mean? Like, look at how many streaming channels do we have, and how many, you know, opportunities do we have of new TV shows dropping every week and new movies that people are talking about, and you can't possibly watch it all. I mean, I'm in, you know, film and television, and so I like to watch stuff and stay, you know, current on what's happening, but it's nearly impossible. And so, you know, you again, you know, when you're not flipping through your phone, you're watching content, or, you know, and it seems to be an endless flow. So yes, I think absolutely the abundance creates an anxiety. And to your point too, Lucy, so at some point it just becomes white noise and you become bored with that. And that in and of itself becomes, you know, creates an anxiety. So yes, anyway, I think for me, it's pretty clear that definitely the abundance that we have, which I don't think I think it's unprecedented in human existence, um, definitely is creating some kind of mental strain and anxiety in people.
So, that was on a personal level. You did ask if it should be on a general human level. Speaking of abundance and how it affects, let's say, the younger generations, the people who go into college, the people who have to choose a major, deciding what they want to be when they grow up. So in a world that you can be anything, how do you feel about people in their shoes, in their stage of life like that? Could they commit? Is it easier or harder now?
I think that that kind of speaks to a bigger problem, is that we've certainly here in the States and you know, here in California, it seems like maybe more so than other places, but probably everywhere now, is that, you know, we've kind of created this society where we tell people you can be anything that you want to be. And I think that that maybe is not the best advice in the world, because not everybody is great at everything. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I want to be a professional hockey player. I'm never going to be a professional. I'm never going to play center for the New York Rangers as badly as I want to. You know, like I always make the joke, like if I was just a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a bit more agile, had better hand-eye coordination, was a little bit of a better athlete, I totally could have been a pro hockey player. Totally.
By a hair.
If I only had those things. Yeah. If I just had those things, I could be a pro. But you know what? So like, you know, if I had spent my entire childhood and only chasing this dream, you know, with people around me telling me, yes, you can do it, I could never have done it. Doesn't matter if I worked, you know, so hard, which I did. I mean, I loved hockey, so I played all as much as I possibly could as soon as I, you know, was introduced to it, which was later, you know, when I was in high school. But you know, I'm just never going to be good enough to play, you know. So I think that in a world where you're told you can be anything, I think that creates all kinds of mental stress when you realize that, you know what, maybe, or sorry, when you never realize that maybe I just can't do this, and maybe it's a lost opportunity. Because what about people that are really great and talented and have skills and aptitudes in other areas, that they're also interested in? It just maybe second place to something that they, you know, they wanted to do but just maybe can't, you know. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a bigger question for people with, you know, much bigger brains than me. But I don't know. Does that answer your question? What are we talking about?
Well, speaking of abundance and questions, what are some of the questions we can answer for you today?
Oh, we're on to that now. Okay. So, questions for me to ask the cards. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a controversial question to ask, which I'm not even sure if tarot is the appropriate forum for this. But you know, in 3 years from now, we are going to have another presidential election, and I'm curious if this presidential election, if this election will go down like every other election in our democracy's history, or are things going to irrevocably change? I believe that's a pretty neutral way to ask that question.
Well, it is neutral, but I don't know how to draw the cards specifically.
Let me ask you this. Will
Yeah.
we have a normal, fair election, the next presidential election for the United States? Is that clear?
Statistically, yes, right? But anyway, let's see. Let's see what the card said. I mean, how many election has the American have so far? 50. So I guess statistically it's not quite fair. The sample size is too small.
Also, I
Yeah,
don't think it's a spirit of our, because you have to make it really relevant to yourself. I think let's make it more fun and entertaining for our audience here.
Do you not think this is relevant for me? I think this is relevant for every
Exactly.
human being living in this.
That's why I'm going to rephrase it, because everyone's allowed to have their own political view and
Of
their
course.
own interpretations, right? Why don't we ask, that next election, like, would you be happy about the result?
Will I be happy? Okay, so you want to turn
So
it
you can interpret it whatever you want, but we'll just say if the universe answers you.
So will I be happy with the next presidential election?
Yeah,
result?
so we're not overreading into your
Okay.
political view.
All right, that's fun. Sure. Let's give it a shot. Will I be happy with the next presidential election?
Right. Or just like how would you feel after?
Sure. Okay, let's do it. Shuffle the cards. Let's get into it.
Well, it's hard to interpret it, but I got chop wood, which is a kind of like a house chores, cleaning up your house kind of a card. So my interpretations of that is sort of, you know, I think business as usual and things will be as is. So it doesn't really speak to me that it is a very positive card. So I don't think that you would be happy if we just going back to the questions.
Yeah, kind of similar on my end. What I got is three of the pentacles. So this is showing three people discussing a project, and then it symbolizes for teamwork, collaboration, learning, and then building something. So it's kind of like feels like a routine work they're doing, something in progress, but still early, working on a project. But it's like nothing's showing a change yet. So it's something under construction.
Yeah, and I think numerology wise, 3 is the very first number of stability, right? Like if you think of 1, that's a singular. 2 is a very first duality that, yin and yang. And then 3 is a very first stable position. Will you be happy? Maybe you will, but for a different reason, possibly.
Yeah. I feel you will think it still needs work.
Maybe. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So let's see. So you had mentioned earlier on your read about a partner. I'm actually in a really good place with my partner in this film that I'm working on. Like we're making really good progress, and we did some really good work, especially on Friday. So I guess my question should be about this film that we're working on. And how about this? Are we heading in the right direction with this film, with the choices that we're making?
Will you be happy with the choices when you're done
Sure.
making the film?
You
right?
tell me, however, the best way to parse it. Yes.
See, Lucy, this is where my second card was round and round. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm asking a similar question?
No, I think you're just in a cycle of whatever your focus and your topic at that moment. And I think just repetitions on that area.
Also, you're in film industry for a while, right? So I think this is one of the projects you are working on. Either it's a cycle or spiral up, like advancement, but it's still in your domain.
Got flexible. So at this stage, it doesn't give me a definitive answer one way or another. Possibly, I think your inner reflections is feeling that way as well. It's up in the air.
Interesting. On my end, I got 2 cards out of the pile. So I think you deeply care about this because I got one is a King of Swords. Again, King is, like more significant than others in the role. And also like Swords stays for like mental movement. So you probably care about quite a bit, thinking about it all the time. And then in this one, it's like head over heart. So you're putting a lot of thinking into the production right now. And then the other card I got is a major arcana, is the star. So again, it's very important. And then I think it's more positive. Because again, star film, right? It's like shooting a star. And then I think represents hope. And then it looks really calm right now with good fortune.
All right. I like the sound of that. Okay. So now for the third question, which I think this is probably the most important question that you guys have received in the entire history of this podcast. So
Okay.
I need you to prepare yourselves.
We
Yeah,
are
we have-
prepared.
Yeah, we have a short history too. So
This is very important. We need to get to the bottom of this. Did aliens build the pyramids in Egypt?
Well, technically, the people built it, but
We don't know that. Could have been aliens.
Technically,
Let's ask the
technically.
cards. Let's ask the cards.
labor-wise,
Aliens from outer space.
labor-wise, the mastermind.
Also, I have a new name for aliens. I think it's a little bit disrespectful when we say aliens. And
Oh,
read some science book lately, and I think there is a new term called Cosmo people because they're from the cosmos.
E.T.
extraterrestrial.
I
Are
like
you
it.
telling me? Are you telling me that alien is derogatory now? Is that what you're saying?
Also, I think human beings are non-native to this planet. If you examine our elements, what
Okay,
composes of a human body? Like we're
right.
not native to the Earth planet.
Sure. By alien, non-human.
Yeah. Yeah. Was the aliens behind or a part of
Let's find out.
the pyramids development?
And then you'll take our answer.
Yes, to heart. This is the truth. We're about to find out. This is breaking news. You guys are taking this very seriously. There's a lot of shuffling happening. This is
That's
Really?
why I feel like the universe doesn't want us to know this easily because yeah, it's taking forever to get a car.
I'm getting warm. This is a lot of pressure.
You're nervous. Yeah, I told you. Important question.
It is very important. Guess what I got?
What did you get?
So again, I got 2 cards, which is not very common if you are just waiting for one card to fall when you shuffle. And then 2 cards, both are like major arcana, so major cards. And then they're somewhat similar, symbolize the beginning or end. One is the Wheel of Fortune,
Ooh.
and then the other card literally says the world.
Wow.
So I think if we say it's something beyond human race who built the pyramid, it is very true because it is showing all the possible energies, all the possible gods from the tarot system. These 2 cards.
Wow. What are the chances of those 2 cards coming out together?
What are the chances?
Very rare.
Astronomical, if I may.
At
Well,
least it proves the question's important.
I told you.
I got the same card. I got flexible again. And I don't know if this is the answer for the alien behind pyramids card or your mind is still on your movie outcome. But
What is the picture? What does the card flexibility card look like? Oh my God, it's an alien. That's exactly it. I think we have our answer. I think what it's saying is we need to be flexible, which means have our minds open. This is the card that everyone that is doubting this possible outcome in your listening audience, this is a message to them to be flexible, to open their minds, to accept what Lucy said, that yes, this is an astronomical. I think your card is working in conjunction, saying as human beings, we need to be flexible, keep our minds open to accept the fact that the pyramids were built by aliens, as proven by Lucy's cards. So you heard it here first. I think you guys are breaking some pretty incredible ground. Aliens built pyramids. It's as clear as day to me, as an unmuddied lake.
sure. All right. Do you have another questions for us?
Nope, just those 3.
Anyway, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. That was fun.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.
All right. So, Lucy, that was an interesting reading.
I know, both on him and all his questions.
All right. So, I hope you had enough of all of the bantering that we had today about the abundance and the anxiety that the modern world has for us.
Totally. I hope our listeners got less anxious after listening to the show.
Okay. Until next time, please join us in our next episode.